Immortals of Aveum, and again, how that wasn't the best received game. And basically, Kotaku were saying this is a grim time for single player games because of Immortals of Avium's performance. Again, they said they spent 125 million on the budget. It was a single player game, had all the fixings of a single player, say extravaganza, AAA single player shooter. How much in distribution and all that stuff like that. So much money in Unreal Engine 5, a game that looks so good, but it just didn't sell well. It just didn't sell well to people, and again, it just didn't hit in terms of the reception. And they're saying single player games are taking a hit, man. It's a sad time for them. How do you feel about that?
Single player games are taking a hit if you suck. No, I'm kidding. I think there's a lot to be said about Immortals of Aveum. Single player game dropped right next to fucking one of the biggest games of last year. Marketed heavily, but it just didn't get anybody's attention because it didn't look crazy, Like I remember watching these trailers and thinking to myself, like, I should go play Borderlands 3 again. And it's not that you got to reinvent the wheel here, but it's just I don't even know what the game was about. I saw it; there was cool visuals. It's a single player game. What's the story like? Who are these people? Why should I care? Like, what is I think the marketing sucked, and it's not that people didn't see it. I just think they didn't capture any attention because there's just like nothing to talk about. Like, what have you played the game? Have you seen anything? What is this game about, Tripp? Do you know?
Magicians War.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah, Magicians War. Gina Torres is a fine woman. That's all I got from this. That's just really it. Shout out Gina Torres though, amazing woman.
And I think somebody on this team or some people on this team dropped the ball, and that's okay. It happens. Is it a grim time for single player games? I don't really think so. I think games like Spider-Man did really well. Yeah. Games like
there was just Legend of Zelda was out there. This could be Alan Wake did okay.
Alan Wake 2. I was literally going to say Alan Wake 2. Like,
Baldur's Gate did all right. They did okay. They had an okay year.
You could make the argument that people are trying less single player games as opposed to multiplayer games, but that's mostly because of money. A lot of multiplayer games these days are free, like Overwatch and all them boys. They're free games. So I just don't know if this is necessarily true. I understand you got to keep morale up and you don't want to point fingers or anything, but I think some internal conversations need to be had about why this failed. I think I really truly do think they should just ask people, like just ask avid gamers, like, why didn't you? If you want to know, Immortals of Aveum, if you're listening in right now for some reason because you found us and you fucks with us, what's up? How you doing?
Hi.
I didn't play this game because I didn't know what the fuck it was about, and it didn't capture my attention in a month that was highly contested with Baldur's Gate and another single player game that was really popular, Armored Core. Like,
bro, they literally you know
what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's you released in a very contended month,
which seems to be a recurring theme for you, EA. It seems to be a recurring theme. I don't know why you think your games are just gonna like automatically sell like hotcakes in the middle of one of the hottest years, the most anticipated months of that year. You've done this multiple times now, and that's a whole nother side conversation. You keep putting games that need to prove themselves in the worst position possible and expect them to float. Like, what?
Yeah, it's also a single player first person shooter. Those are really hard to pull off these days, I feel. The only single player first person shooter that I've played that I fucking loved until this day I think about is like Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
Like there aren't many first person shooters that to me are so unremarkably amazing. Like not unremarkable, but like so fucking good that I'm just like, damn, I need to keep tapping in. It's just I think a lot of the problem may have lied in the marketing, because if I would have gotten to play it, because that's the thing is like I didn't even see gameplay really, because I was so uninterested, and that I think is the biggest issue for them. I don't think it's a bad time for single player games at all. I
Bro.
think it is a different time because multiplayer games are more prevalent, and I feel like we're going to be seeing more multiplayer games. And just in general, that's just like the internet. That's just like how since 2020, a lot of people have been communicating online. It makes sense that multiplayer games are on the up and up. But yeah, no, I don't think it's a bad time for single player games.
Bro, you're smoking dust if you think this is a bad time for single player games. When did this game drop? It dropped. This is my thing. All right, guys. All right. Okay, one, let me handle it. This issue is twofold. One, you have to make a game that takes a risk. Again, this is an EA original game, all right? This is an EA original game. So I'm gonna stick in-house. I'm gonna stay in-house. This game failed to wow and impress people. Maybe from a graphical standpoint it did, but where's the actual divergent gameplay? You know what I'm saying? People automatically went into the game like, oh, this feels like Call of Duty just in a magical sense. You know what I'm saying? Call of Duty with magic, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it works to your benefit, sometimes it won't. There wasn't enough of a difference in that gameplay, in that loop, to garner enough interest. There wasn't enough interest in the story. There wasn't enough build up in certain things to really garner enough interest and say, oh, this is a really different experience that we want to try. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but it just wasn't divergent enough to pull enough people in. On the other end of an EA Originals title, off of what we've seen so far, Tales of Kxngviii has built up so much interest and built up so much momentum from how different their game looks, how their game is marketed, you know, what's in store for it, what they're representing, what they're pushing forward. You know what I'm saying? Shouts to Surgeon Studios and all them. But you can tell there's genuine interest that's garnered from what they've been showing because it's coming from a place of, yo, this is a really different look at what we're trying to provide on the Metroidvania series. There's a very different basis of where we're coming from. So we want you to experience that. And that's hooking more people than saying, oh, this is a different, you know what I'm saying, this is a Call of Duty with magic. And they didn't say it specifically, but like, you know, just saying, oh, this is like, you know, action-packed, short, single-player, AAA story, da-da-da. People aren't buying in. People aren't buying into that. So that's one issue. You have to make a quality game that is divergent enough to create interest. And Immortals of Aveum didn't do enough of that. Twofold. The second thing, why do you release games in Hellfire? I'm spamming Helldivers references today, baby. You sent Immortals of Aveum to Malevelon Lake, and in Malevelon Lake, that is literally Baldur's Gate. That's again Armor Core. You put it in some of the most congested months in terms of releases, and you expect return. You expect a really solid result from that. I say drop games in summer. You waited to the end of summer to drop. You waited to the end of summer, August of last year, till when these heavy hitters started coming through. Just drop it in June. Drop it in July. Drop it in a place where, again, you might not get the greatest immediate hit because it is summer. And again, it might be a low period for those behavioral trends. But the world is moving past some of those things. People are going to be inside no matter what. So you can bank on it. You can take a risk on the timing of a release and potentially get a good result. If your game is good enough, you're gonna make it through that summer period fine, and you're gonna get more buzz going into the fall, so people can actually see you. And that might end up to your benefit. Like, dog, you gotta figure it out. Stop. EA's gotta stop choking their games, and you know what I'm saying, and stop pushing them off a cliff at their first flight. And they gotta really make something that really stands out. That's simple.